have a break in
He's on the loose.
more than JM.
Young Myth's coming at ya.
We're gonna have a problem here.
What you gonna do?
Here we go, third year in a row, doing music shit in a spooky Halloween video. Yeah. Young Mathas just escaped the sanitarium. Big fish, small pond, just a manic aquarium. Fresh air, it tastes good, and I'm on the run. Cthulhu made me his bitch, and me and him, we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna rule the world, but mostly him. But he said he'd let me watch if I just let him ruin my hairy bum. Young Mathas. Young Mathas coming at you right now. Young Mathas. Young Mathas, I'm fresh for Crazy Town.
I just ate Young Mathas and I'm here to say my name is Cthulhu and I'm from West Relay. This little bearded wannabe like me. Fat chance little buddy, but hey, at least a chubby. England with flick, thin sin booty that makes them straight fire from the bottom of the sea. Speaking of the bottom, guess we are about to be shooting at my ass like a great old 2C. Don't you understand, tiny man, just how great I am? I turned you mad just for laughs and now I'm about to bang Japan. Wait a minute, what's this burning in my stomach?
It's me, Young Mathas, I'm breaking out your buttocks! Young Mathas. Yeah. Young Mathas coming at you right now. Yeah. Young Mathas. Young Mathas, I'm fresh for Crazy Town. Young Mathas. Yeah. Young Mathas coming at you right now. Yeah. Young Mathas. Young Mathas, I'm fresh for Crazy Town. Yeah. I guess this is a point-and-click kind of month. Freddy Fish first, and for Halloween episode, the much-loved but strangely underappreciated Sanitarium developed by Dreamforge Entertainment. And if you weren't in the spooky mood yet, hopefully this horrible car accident should do the trick. A quick opening too, as our character here makes a phone call on what I can only assume is a brick Nokia phone from the late 90s, a car crash, some muffled voices, and then we suddenly wake up in a horrifying cathedral-looking place with scrubs on and a face full of bandages. A quick perusal of our new location and we, in classic point-and-click fashion, find our first bedsheet and a few insane patients. One patient in particular representing my inner desires whenever I read through the comment section of a YouTube video. So let's talk to the only guy here who seems willing then, shall we?
Temples! The fallen temples! Can't you hear them? Crying out?
Is this the temple? Is this place one of the fallen temples?
No.
I love 90s video games with voice acting in it. Like, listen to this guy here, our guy. He's been in this massive car accident, woke up in what I might personally describe as hell, grabs a bedsheet off some other patient's bed like it's just a Wednesday, and then tries to figure out what's going on by talking to someone who's clearly lost their mind. And over here we have Lenny. Okay, well, I guess now over to... You know, on second thought, let's go back upstairs. Oh yeah, of course. Let's go ahead and zip line on this power cord with the sheet that we found. Into the main office, right, yeah, okay, let's rearrange some wires so we can watch our interview with, Dr. Morgan, where we learn we supposedly stole the car and have complete amnesia from our accident, which in turn short-circuits something, popping open a safe with a key that goes into the angel statue at the top, which will awaken it, of course, while it cries tears of black to tell us that the light of heaven is dimming before it encompasses us in its wings and transports us somewhere else entirely. Cool, so that's Sanitarium. Thanks for watching. What? I wasn't kidding, oddly enough. These are the types of mind games that Sanitarium plays with you throughout the entire game. What was that? Am I dead? Am I in a coma? Am I in a hospital? Is all this inside my head? Am I just crazy? Did I actually steal that car? These are the questions that the game is going to consistently ask you. Sure, the game isn't actually over, but this is the kind of loop to expect for the rest of the game. Okay, now we've got a nice change of scenery. Cute little, maybe Midwestern town, autumn leaves, playing children. Oh God! Well, don't judge a book by its cover, right? So, see, here's one of the kids' diaries. I'm sure they won't mind some unknown 30-something-year-old man reading it.
I wish Mommy wasn't so sad all the time. She cries a lot. She says that Daddy drinks too much. Daddy's been staying in the patch until dark. When Dad comes in, he yells at Mommy and they fight real bad. He yells a lot lately. Mommy's up in heaven now. Dad said she had an accident and God took her away. I miss her a lot. I wish she were here to stop Dad from drinking so much. Dad smells bad when he drinks that stuff. He gets real mad and he starts hitting me.
All right, well, let's go outside and play hide and seek instead. While we're looking for these kids that were just sort of chilling in a cemetery, let's chat about what the hell is happening in this little town that we've just seemingly found ourselves in after only being in a cathedral hospital mere moments ago. Seems that all of the adults are missing, save for someone named Mother, or Mom. An asteroid collided with this town in a barn a bit north, and vines started to grow from it. The priest of the town forbid anyone from cutting the vines, and now all we have left are misshapen children. And we remembered our name via flashbacks. Apparently it's Max. The constant talks of this mother and strange comment are spooky, sure, but it's the underlying thoughts and hints and just outright admissions of child abuse, alcoholism, and other nefarious deeds that actually strike me as horrifying here. See, horror is done, in my opinion, best when it can relate and connect with you in a real way. Sure, ghosts and aliens, they're always scary, but when I think about the kinds of stories that get under my skin the most and stay with me long after any movie or book or show of any type is done, it's always those ghosts who have a tragic history connected to one of the characters, or the human struggles, for instance, after zombies have eradicated most of life on Earth. Sanitarium consistently tends to dig into these real themes. And while the atmosphere, music, and visuals are absolutely creepy in their own right, even from being from a 90s game, it's when they casually toss something tragic and real at you that makes my skin crawl. Once you start to parse what really happens in the town, it's shortly after that the grossest game of hide and seek comes to an end. We're tasked with doing a few more adventure-style game puzzles to gather the items we need to solve this little town's problem. So, what is that problem?
God, what are you?
I am beyond your understanding, human. However, you may call me what the children do. Mother.
A blob plant creature that birthed itself from the asteroid made the pumpkin patch guarded by eye-pecking crows and a murder scarecrow, killed all the adults, and is slowly turning the children into plants so they can become one with Mother. And she could bring them true peace, as Mother deems all meat bags too dangerous even among themselves. Basically, if HK-47 had some weird sense of morality. Also, if he was a blob creature who had a soft spot for children. You know, normal video game stuff. And of course, being the hero that we are, we do some very point-and-click heroics. Roast her alive with electricity, and suddenly, all the children in town are gone, and a portal has opened, where an eyeless girl who was punished by Mother ushers us through the portal, only to snap back into the cathedral-like hospital we found ourselves in earlier.
Asylum? How did I get back here? Those children seemed so real. Did I save them, or am I going completely mad?
And this is honestly how every chapter seems to go. Consistently strange, alien, and just downright bizarre things happen, and you're tasked with figuring it out. Sometimes it's mutated children. Other times it's a horror circus. And other times you are legitimately playing as your main character's favorite comic book character from his childhood. As the main character, I think. Each scenario in this game feels disjointed compared to the last, and on the surface, they seem self-contained, with the exception of some flashbacks that our character has been having during them, filling in some of the past that leads up to the car accident and the events of the game, and references some tragedies that don't seem to fit into the world that is being presented to us. Not fully, anyway. And to be honest, for a while, I didn't quite get why there was such a cult fan base around Sanitarium. It feels messy, the puzzles are dead simple for the most part, requiring nothing more than a tiny bit of thought, and if all else fails, just click on everything. You couldn't really fail, and death is only temporary if death is even something you can worry about in the scenario you're in. Sometimes you're just safe, left to wander and explore. The levels themselves are all self-contained and really small, which highlights how slow the main character moves. Honestly, what you're seeing right now is as fast as you can move in the game. And once you understand that, coupled with the fact that each scenario is relatively self-contained and they're all particularly small, the slow movement really begins to grind you down because of how much backtracking you have to do in this game. You're constantly slugging yourself back and forth in these tiny levels, solving simple puzzles to see this slice of the game's story come to an end and then leave confused as to what the hell even happened in the first place. But, and baby, that's a big old but, the game did slowly grow on me. Not because it suddenly got harder or I got used to the walking or anything like that, and honestly it's quite the opposite. But because its most important piece, the story, started to seep into my mind. And I really couldn't think of a better way to say that. All these little stories, they couldn't all be just disjointed random stories where you're there to fix a problem in an insane world where maybe you're just crazy, right? What's trying to be said here? Why is everything so cryptic? And that's when it all clicked. These little scenarios aren't just small, bizarre side adventures in an insane man's mind. I mean, all right, maybe that's exactly what they are, but they're all connected. While on the surface it doesn't seem that way, but each one is filled to the brim with symbolism, representing something important to our main character. Is he dead? Did he go crazy? Is he in a coma after the car accident? What happened leading up to that accident? None of these questions are answered right away either, and some are left up to interpretation. But each slice, each self-contained level is related in some way to our character's past, or in some instances, his present. The second level, for instance, the one that I talked about a little earlier with all the children and mother. Something you learn a little afterward is that Max, our character, had a sister, and his sister died when she was just a child. From that, Max actually did develop an obsession with curing this disease that apparently killed his sister, leading him into a life of medical research. From the way you interact with the children, their responses, digging up a dead and decayed little girl who had died from this disease that Mother gave her, and freeing them all from this disease that Mother was giving them all, could be seen as Max's internal struggle with his obsession to save all children from the very same disease that ended his sister's life, the thing that led him into medical research. And his exit from this level, and how all the children are missing save one little girl, is his internal acceptance of what happened and him moving on from the guilt he holds about his sister's death. Now, is it all this official and canon? No, because that's not what the developers want. But there's enough there that you could reasonably say that this is what's happening. That was the turning point. That's what made me really start to enjoy Sanitarium. The ability to take information that you learn later in the game and apply that knowledge to previous events you've already played through to get a deeper look at Max's mindset and motivations. See symbolism where maybe a couple of hours ago you didn't see anything before. And if this is all happening in Max's mind, which I firmly believe it probably is, it explains why he's so nonchalant about everything that's going on. Now, that doesn't address the sluggish movement, the very simple puzzles, and the tedious puzzle solving for most of the game, but it did make me appreciate my playthrough of Sanitarium, and made me happy I finally played it. If Sanitarium was made today, I think it would be more of a walking simulator, which is a term I abhor, but one that people easily understand. I don't think it would be a point-and-click adventure, because that doesn't seem like what they wanted to do with it, but had no other outlet to tell this story. Now, is it a masterpiece? No, not in my opinion, even if it's an older game. There are better games in this genre you could still play today and be more fulfilled with its puzzle solving and mechanics.
The organs are still inside.
But does it deserve to be played? Well, if you're looking for a weird, kinda creepy point-and-click adventure game, yeah, absolutely. Or if you're just looking for a very interesting story told in a unique way, Sanitarium is easy enough where I'd recommend it to those people as well. I'd be lying to you if I didn't say I walked away from Sanitarium mildly disappointed. It was a cult classic for a lot of people, and there's a lot of love for this game, so I was expecting something pretty damn spooky and creepy to crawl under my skin. And when that wasn't happening, I was wondering if this was at all scary, even remotely. But the more time I spent with it, the more I see why people like this game. It was teasing things and playing with the player's mind in a time where games really didn't do that all that often, so it built a base. I still think Sanitarium's really good, and damn if the box isn't one of my favorite pieces in my collection, it is awesome. And graphically, the game still looks pretty damn good, and a lot of the cutscenes still look really damn good. And for a Halloween game, I still think it's probably worth playing. So that's why I, the Honorable Judge Mathas, judge Sanitarium as innocent. Innocent of what? You have to play it to find out. It's good. It's good. Just don't expect something super scary. That's all. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Halloween special. This is always a special time of year on the Judge Mathas channel, and I really enjoyed doing it. Believe it or not, Sanitarium has been on my list to cover for over a year now. In fact, I was gonna cover it last year, but changed last minute to Call of Cthulhu for reasons. It was just a game I wanted to play a little bit more. But now that this is out of the way, I can get to the next horror game on my list that I'm eager to cover. Retro, of course. But I'll keep that as a surprise until next year. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and my question to you is, was there a horror game that you had played that you expected to be way scarier, but ended up being something way different than what you were at least told it was going to be? I'm curious. This subversion of expectations when you're playing a game you're expecting to be one thing and ends up being another can be enjoyable in its own right, especially when you start discovering that this is something a little different than you were prepared for. Either way, let me know in the comments section below. I'm eager to read your answers, and I'm sure I'll add a few more of those games on my ever-growing list of recommendations you guys have given me. A big love and shout out to all my patrons over at the Patreon. If you are a Patreon member of the $2 tier and above, there's a new podcast waiting for you. If you are a $10 tier, there's the wrap itself in audio form. And if you're of the $5 tier, you obviously get the script and all that stuff. And if you're of the high tiers, you get all the lower tiers and all that nonsense. Just thank you for the support. And if you don't support me and just watch the videos, thank you guys so much for that as well, because I would not be here without your eyeballs. That'll wrap it up for me. Have a safe Halloween, and if you already partied, I hope you had a good one and a safe one, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.